that is not transparent, that is not open, and frankly is rooted in a culture that is anti-women.
I don't know. I think we might have made a little bit of history tonight.
This has been a difficult, inspiring, and very painful journey, but as the survivors have shown us, they have survived.
I'm very much pleased by getting this Canadian citizenship certificate.
Justin Trudeau will be a majority government tonight.
And I understand one of the priorities for you was to have a cabinet that was gender balanced. Why was that so important to you?
Because it's 2015.
L'accord de Paris pour le climat est accepté.
Welcome to your new home.
Thank you.
Just some of the political stories that captured our attention in 2015. Time now for our panelists to break down all of the highs, all of the lows, plus a look at who's been naughty and who's played nice. This year on the Hill, we're back with round 2 of the Sunday Scrum. Susan Riley, Chris Hall, and John Ibbotson are in Ottawa. All right, guys, so with all the cheers and jeers and jostling around Parliament Hill, watching federal politics has felt a bit like watching hockey. So we're going to try something a little different and take our cue from the other national pastime. All right, so looking at the year that was, we want to start by getting your thoughts on who politically played best defense. Chris.
Well, I'm going to break the rules and try and say it's been more of a career thing, although it continued in 2015, and that would be Pierre Poilievre of the Conservatives. Whenever a cabinet minister got in trouble, Pierre Poilievre would rag the puck and sort of obfuscate and make it difficult to score any real political points. He continued that from the very first time when he began with the Federal Accountability Act back in 2006, and whistleblowing legislation, continued it right through in attacking unions and their donations to the other political parties. So my best defense is the guy who I thought played some of the best offense, not just last year, but over the course of his career. And I'm going to give it to him, although I'm sure my Twitter will be alive with people who disagree with me.
Well, you just saw, well, Susan just sighed.
I did
she put her head down, her face plant. Not for you, Susan?
No, definitely not. No, I mean, no, I disagree. If you were looking for the best, on the Conservative side, the best defense, I would say Lisa Raitt. I thought Lisa Raitt handled the Lac Mégantic disaster and the aftermath with great poise and confidence. She actually seemed to be speaking for herself rather than echoing what somebody in the PMO wrote for her. So I think Poilievre, on the other hand, no, I would not put him in this category at all.
John.
Oh, I'd go for Paul Calandra. I mean, if you're going to do it, do it all the way. The man who ended up crying because his answers were so incomprehensible that even the backbenchers in the Conservative Party rose up in protest. No, I mean, I think.
But he lost. He lost. Pierre Poilievre at least won. Calandra didn't win.
Well, there's truth in that. But the fact is that if you wanted to look at ways in which it was clear that the Conservative government was running out of steam in its final years, out of ideas, out of initiatives. The fact that these sort of trained SEALs were becoming the voice of the government, Dean Damastro, Paul Calandra, Pierre Poilievre, would be a classic example of that. They lost the government credibility every time they rose to defend it.
All right, Susan, let's talk about the flip side of this and who really came out swinging. Who do you think had the best offense in Ottawa?
I think without a doubt Justin Trudeau, inspired by Jerry Butts and Katie Telford, his most loyal and helpful assistants, and specifically his decision to go with deficit financing for a while in hopes of getting the economy kick-started. That really surprised everybody. It defied political orthodoxy, scandalized political panels like this one from coast to coast to coast. And it worked. He managed to do an end run around the NDP, and Canadians were not as scandalized as the establishment was, and he won the election.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I completely agree. You know, to me, Justin Trudeau exceeded expectations, and that's fine. That makes him, to me, the kind of the performer of the year. But I think it's because of the gamble that his team made around him with the deficit financing. There was a time when the idea of running a deficit in this country was kind of like marrying a sibling. You just can't do it. And he took that idea and turned it on its head and got people to believe that if you invest strategically in infrastructure and other things to get the economy moving, that's okay. day. And, you know, try as they might, the Conservatives could not convince Canadians that austerity was the future. People believed that it was time to spend.
All right, so it can be all about strategy on the ice and on the Hill, right? So when it comes to political maneuvering, let's talk about who made the best political play this year. Susan, is it the infrastructure spending?
Oh, are you saying political play?
Yeah.
Well, I would go back to the way the campaign was conducted, not just the deficit funding, which we spoke about, but just right from the get-go. It's in a strange way. Justin Trudeau embodied Jack Layton's spirit, his optimism, even that famous comment that Layton made in his final letter, you know, about love being stronger than hate, you know, hope is stronger than anger. When Justin Trudeau first embarked on this, we were so immersed in a cynical, negative kind of political culture. If you want a refresher on what that felt like, just watch the Republican presidential debates, presidential candidate debates. So I thought he really took a gamble that Canadians are a lot more easygoing, open to change than anyone ever expected.
John, best political play?
9. For me, that was the pivotal moment in the entire election. We forget now, because we all have incredibly short memories, especially panelists like us, that the Liberals were in 3rd place going into the election. They were in 3rd place. The question was, can Tom Mulcair hold on to his lead and become Prime Minister, or can Stephen Harper make a comeback? And in that first debate, where everyone knew that Justin Trudeau was going to be, they were going to wipe the floor with him, that he was inexperienced, that Tom Mulcair was a great debater, that Stephen Harper had already done this numerous times in the past, Mulcair made the single biggest mistake a lawyer could make, because lawyers know that when you're in a courtroom, you never, ever, ever ask a question of a witness unless you already know the answer to the question yourself. And when Tom Mulcair said to Justin Trudeau, what's the number for Quebec separation? How big must the majority be? And Justin Trudeau said 9. This is the number of judges in the Supreme Court who've already ruled on this. We all went back, sat back in our chairs and went, oh, he's really good. Yeah. And the momentum of the entire election campaign shifted at that moment. And we are where we are now, I think, because of it.
And Chris? Final thought from you on this one?
Yeah, I think that John's right, but I would add to that almost every debate that was held during the campaign, that one plus the foreign policy debate that was sponsored by the Monk Group was the other one where I thought Justin Trudeau really did much better than people thought that he would about first of all, the 9 being the answer, but also C-24, the bill that would strip citizenship from people who were engaged in terrorist activities if they were dual citizens. He was a very passionate defender of the idea of citizenship. There's not 2 tiers here. So in the end, all those debates and his ability in sort of articulating what the Liberals stood for, to me, was the political play of the year.